right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. This is the Birds of a Feather podcast with your boy Q
hmm
City.
Your boy Taj Bravado.
And this is episode 46. I promise I'm going to get these numbers right. But it
You
is.
said
It
it's
is. It's
46. Oh,
46. I
okay.
swear. I
Okay.
swear to you, it's
I'm
46. I
like,
said
wait.
48 last
I thought you
time. I
did
got my
46.
roasted.
Oh, okay. Are we going backwards? Hold on.
No, 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 no. So this is episode 46. Oh, Captain, my captain, right? So we found someone to right the ship. We have a head coach. We have a new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris. If you've been keeping track of us, he was on both of our short list of coaching candidates that we wanted. I can't tell you, bro. I'm pretty happy with the hire. You know what I'm saying? What about
Me
you?
too. Well, static. I'm excited, especially after seeing the outpour that you're getting from coaches and players that worked with him. It's like there's nothing negative to say about this man. I really can't think of any other culture hires that I've seen that have this kind of reaction. So, that kind of just makes me a
Now,
little more optimistic about the future of this team.
absolutely. I know from the fan point of view, it's not the sexiest hire. It's quote unquote a retread, but like we both talked about multiple times, he didn't really get a fair shake for that first time in Tampa. You know what I'm saying? And
Bigger
I
on
think that
staff, um, and he hamstrung. The roster was hamstrung, so they pretty much just said, "Hey, you gonna be the face of this, but we really running this shit." So like, this is his first opportunity to actually pick his own staff and run the show the way he wants to run it. So
and a certain person is no longer involved in the day to
oh
day
yeah,
operations
yeah.
of the Falcons. You
I
know what
mean,
I'm
how
saying?
much
Like
that really matters, who knows? But it's just nice to hear it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Rich McKay, uh, I think he had a lot to do with the day to day operations. And one of the things that kind of stuck out to me is that you got your hand in the pot, but you don't want to have no responsibility when the dish turned out bad. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like if I'm randomly walking by, just every time you stirring up something, throwing some pepper in the pot, throwing some salt in the pot. You know what I'm saying? And then when the dish comes out, people, oh man, this is trash. And then like I sit there and go, well, hey, the chef must have messed it up. Or the person buying the food must have messed it up. Like he's survived multiple GM and coach changes at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
And like
strange.
at some point in time,
Look, there's no point in time. Go
no,
ahead.
I'm saying like if you're just going to be the president, if you're just going to be the guy who's behind the scene handling the financials of it, that's fine. But like you kind of want your name in the mix of the football day to day decisions, and if that's the case, then you need to also take some responsibility for running through coaches the way we are.
Yeah, yeah, because
That's
like
that's my only thing. Like he's been around since Mike Smith,
before that,
longer than that.
no, but no, because he was our general manager first. He was the one. I think he was
Hmm.
there for Mora, and then Petrino, and then when Petrino's situation went the way it was, he was effectively fired. Um, and then somehow that kind of weaseled around to a promotion of some sort, but he had no ties to the football operations, and that was solely on
Supposedly.
Dimitrov when they hired him. No, no, during that time he didn't. Um, and then like toward the end of the Dan Quinn thing, he kind of weaseled his way back in. Basically, just like, well, things been going good because like Arthur Smith really, I mean Arthur Blank really just kept him around because like he's a very connected man. He's the leader of the competition committee, and he played an instrumental part in getting the stadium. Um, so like there's benefit to him. Whether most of us want to acknowledge or not, there is benefit. I mean, you want someone with those kind of connections in your franchise. Whether or not you want to make football decisions, that's a whole other conversation.
Hmm.
But and he's also responsible for that horrible pick, Jamal Anderson at 8. That yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So it's nice to hear that he's out of our heritage as far as football. Sorry, soccer fans, y'all got to deal with him now. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see where this is going to go. So what you got for me on Raheem?
So if you do kind of like just a deep dive on who he is as a coach, as a person, like you talked about, glowing reviews, right? Played safety at Hofstra. Cornell, he's DB coach. Hofstra, DB coach. Got his break in Tampa in 2002. Why is that important? What happened 2002 in Tampa? Super Bowl, baby. Like they beat the Oakland. He was a defensive quality control coach. He's very, very low on the totem pole. But that 2002 Tampa staff had multiple head coaches on that staff, right? Mm-hmm. Multiple head coaches on that staff. So you go down. He got a promotion, defensive assistant. Then he was assistant DB coach, defensive backs coach. Had to take a step back to college, right? You'll see this happen a lot. Guys kind of cap out or hit their ceiling as just kind of a position coach. And at this time, he's still super, super young. He graduated in 97. So from 22 at 97 till 2005, that's not even 10 years. He's right at 30 years old. D coordinator at Kansas State in 2006. Mm-hmm. What happened in 2006 at Kansas State?
I'm not familiar with that.
That was damn near their best season. That's one of the only years they were ever really in contact of winning the Big. Wasn't the Big 12 at that time? Was it still the Big 12 at that time in 06? I think it was. Right, like they had one of the best seasons ever, and beat the reigning national champs. That's the year they beat Texas. That's the year they beat Texas.
Okay.
Beat the reigning national champs, right? So then, okay, you were a D coordinator. Remember when he left, he was an assistant DB coach. Spent a year as a D coordinator. He got back into the league with Tampa again, but this time as a DB coach, right? He was there for 2 seasons, 07, 08. No real highlights happened, during that time. But what's it called? They let go of their coach. They let go of their of John Gruden, right? And he kind of had an interim role. Now, bam, hired as the head coach. What happened while he was in Tampa? Here's the thing. Tampa started off terribly while he was there. Terribly. It was bad. I think they started the season, it was either 0-8 or 0-9. Like it was bad, right? But that team was bereft of talent. They basically had to run the same damn offense that John Gruden had. You know what I'm saying? Like he's taken the step up, and you got to realize at this point in time, he is 32 years old, 33 years old as a head coach. Super, super young. You know, super, super young at this time. He's given no control of the football operations. He's only coordinated one time in college, right? So, and so this is what I'm saying. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying, like, this is what I mean by he didn't necessarily get a fair shake in Tampa, right? So 09 happens, 3-13, terrible season, right? The next year, 2010 in Tampa, they come back. I'm looking because I want to get this right. I want to get this right. 7-game turnaround. They were 10-6, and he did this with Josh Freeman as his quarterback, right? Yeah. So, like, I need you to understand, like, where he was truly, in terms of personnel. He didn't necessarily choose his quarterback. You're very bereft to your offensive and defensive staff, which he didn't get to choose. He didn't get to choose, right? The 10-6 season seemed to be like an aberration because the next year, the following year, he went 4-12, right? But he dealt with a rash of injuries. And that was the 2011 season. What happened in the NFC South in 2011? Cam entered the division.
No. Oh, Cam, yeah, that's right, because Cam was 08.
Cam entered the division where you had beat Carolina earlier 2 times the previous season, and you split with Atlanta. Atlanta beat you twice. Carolina beat you twice. New Orleans beat him, I think, all 3 years. They had like a crazy win streak against him with Drew Brees. But you got beat. So that's 6 losses in division. You went 4-12 that season. It was rough. because of the limited amount of power that he had during that time. And then look at the coach that they went and got after him. They went and got Greg Schiano after him and basically gave Greg Schiano carte blanche to do with the franchise what he wanted to. And Greg Schiano had a very similar record through 3 years, and they burned through him too. But because of his limited amount of success and his limited authority within the organization, it's very easy to fire. He's just a figurehead. You know what I'm saying? Like you're moving all the pieces around him, so it doesn't make a difference who's in that position. And so they let him go. That's why I truly believe he didn't have a fair shake as the head coach in Tampa. Right? Take a little further. Yeah. Take a little further. He's on the defensive side of the ball on that legendary Washington staff that had, Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell. Yeah, basically the 4 head coaches on it, right? Like he's on that staff. Then they come to Atlanta. This is what I love. He goes on the other side of the ball. Assistant head coach and pass game coordinator. So one, he's being leaned on for his expertise as knowing the head coach, as knowing how to be the head coach. And he's the passing game coordinator during that time. He also received the 2015 to 2019. He held that title, but he also received wide receivers coach as a title. So he held both of those titles. Think about the wide receivers we had during that time. Julio's gonna Julio, right? Julio's gonna Julio. But who's the wide receiver that went to Cleveland and was just? I'm trying to build the case. Look who Taylor Gabriel was with us. Look who he was in Cleveland.
Or with the Bears, because that's what he's on the contract with after us.
Look at Mohamed Sanu with us. Mohamed Sanu anywhere else for the rest of his career. Didn't he go to the Patriots?
He went to the Patriots for a second. We robbed him for it to get a second from Sanu.
Robbed.
That's crazy.
So like he went to the other side of the ball and succeeded heavily on that side of the ball, right?
Yeah.
Out of necessity. Go ahead.
That's what do a small correction. Passing coordinator was for the defense. He was on his only role on offense was just the receiver coach,
wide receivers coach. So then 2020 happens. He goes on the D coordinator role just because. Let's be honest.
They weren't on the fall guys.
Quinn should have been fired coming into the
year
season.
Before it was what Marquand Emanuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he should have been fired. But that is what that is. But yeah. So yeah, he got the job at 2020. But
and then he was the interim coach for the rest of the season. Now, we started 0-5 that season. Taj, what we in that season at?
4-12.
Nah.
Yeah. We only won 4 games.
So 4-12.
Because we had
4-12. 4-12. My fault. I thought we had 1-5 that year. But 4-12, right?
Was 4-7, but up until the last 3 weeks, we were 4-4. But we played Kansas City. The other 2 were skipping me, but these were all close games. But like
Kansas City was the one where they ran the fake punt right up the gut for the touchdown.
I know
right?
We lost that one 14-7. But like we were just in all of these games, like it was on maybe like 1 or 2 games that we actually got handed to us, but like the team fought for him, and I think that showed that he should have got a chance.
But he didn't. He didn't. He was let go. D coordinator for the LA Rams, right? They won the Super Bowl in 21. 22, they were in 22 they missed the playoffs, right? But had just a smorgasbord of young talent, right? Then 23, name me 2 people on that defense outside of Aaron Donald.
Well, I can name them because I know who they are, so that you can't actually.
Because you know. Yeah, you know. But I'm saying in general.
Yeah.
Like, name me 2 people on that defense outside of Aaron Donald.
You're not really gonna be able to name much on that defense because they got rid of all
And
of the
he
veteran
was.
presence except Aaron Donald. They traded Jalen Ramsey before the season started, so like
Mhm.
you don't really. This dude was cooking gourmet meals with Dollar Tree ingredients.
And when I say cooking, I mean cooking. Overall, this was a top 15 defense.
And
That
he
is a
got good
hard.
production out of late round picks. Like the sack leaders for that team were Brian Young and what's the D tackle? Kobe is something Kobe. But
Mhm.
they had 8 and 9 sacks as rookies. So he was able to, scheme them up and get production out of them guys to help that defense. So that shows that he can develop the young talent that you have. And this is not talent that he's handpicked. This is the talent that he's given. So I can only imagine what he's going to do with talent that he actually gets to pick himself.
Now, I don't think that he's going to be. I think Terry and him are definitely going to have a symbiotic relationship, right? Even though, based on salary, Raheem is technically the boss. But I think this is going to be a very symbiotic relationship in terms of finding the exact pieces that he wants. This lends me to believe that we might be going defense with that number 8 pick.
I don't know. It's very difficult to tell because first things first, we got to get a quarterback. So once that's addressed, then I could see because there's a scenario where we could trade up because we don't know what Chicago's doing yet. There's
Mm-hmm.
reports that they may be keeping Fields, but there's also a lot of reports saying they want to take Caleb or pick your insert quarterback at one. Um, so if they do keep Fields, then even if we don't trade up the one, they're going to have that conversation because it will be irresponsible not to because we don't have a quarterback. So we have to pick that phone up and be like, so what is it going to cost? And then we got to determine whether or not it's too much in that. Now, if they decide to keep the pick, you still got to pick that phone up and call about Justin Fields because we don't got a quarterback. So you got to see what that's going to be like. Now,
Well, I think that lends us very well into what he's doing building out his staff. So you were very excited about the offensive coordinator. Tell me your thoughts on him.
all right, so we got Zach Robinson, the former Oklahoma State quarterback. He was throwing touchdown passes to what's the man's name from the Cowboys? Dez Bryant. There we go.
Yeah.
So he got drafted in 2010 to the Patriots. He entered the league in 2010 with the Patriots. Practice squad. Then he floated from the Patriots to the Seahawks, and then he landed on the Lions. He was stuck with them for about a year, and then he ended up on the Patriots for 3 years, and then he kind of took a step away from football. Well, maybe about force. So after that, he entered the world of quarterback coaching. He started quarterback academy, the Zach Robinson Quarterback Academy. And then he got in touch with the NFL programs, and he did that for about from 2015. I mean, he still runs it currently, but I think he stopped once he got the job with the Rams. Then 2017, he was the senior analyst for Pro Football Focus. So he was responsible for some of the grades that you people are not so fond of sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, 2019 he gets hired on to be an assistant quarterback coach at the Rams, and things just kind of progressed from there. They moved from quarterback coach to receiver coach, and then back to quarterback coach. And then he got elevated to passing coordinator with quarterback coach responsibilities. So he's been under McVay's tutelage for 6 years now, and if you're around the offensive mind that long, you're going to pick up something. But he's hopefully, he could still, bring his own spin on what that offense will be. So I'm very excited and optimistic to see what he's going to put together for us. We have a lot. I feel like we have a better offense, weapon wise, to work with than they had with in LA. O line. Now they had more receivers because all we got is Drake, but they ain't had no Kyle Pitts. They didn't have no Bijan, and they got top 3 fantasy production out of Kyron Williams. So I can only imagine what Bijan's going to do. So it's going to be a lot of your typical West Coast, but the main difference between this offense and what we had last year is you're going to see a lot more three wide receiver sets. Um, yeah, so
So that to me talks to what moves are we going to look to make a mid level type of move at wide receiver during free agency, and with us saying we don't have a quarterback, do we think Zach Robinson being a quarterback whisperer, and like we talked about last week, Ritter having the tools, does he look at Ritter and say, maybe I can fix him? What you think?
um, that's it's not out of the realm of possibility. But here's a name that I've kind of been connecting. I'm not sure what it is, and a lot of people probably not like it. But Carson Wentz is a name to watch out for as a veteran signing. He was
The
he was
backup in
back.
LA.
Yeah, he was the backup in LA, so he already has an idea. He's very familiar with Zach Robinson. He's going to need a job. He's not a he's not a good quarterback, but he's not a bad one either. So like
He had to preface that. He was like, whoa there, big fella. He
yeah,
ain't
like
good.
yeah, but he could be serviceable with the weapons that we have. So I could look at there's a world where he could come in and be the veteran signing, and then they go draft the quarterback maybe in the second round if they can't get up into their preferred top range of the first half of the draft. So there is a world where he could be the quarterback. So, but I mean, they also could look at Ritter's tools, but I just don't think they're going to bring him in to be the starter. They're going to bring in competition, and Carson Wentz is a name to watch out for because
I
the
definitely
offense.
see
He's
that
with the
as
guy, so yeah, it makes sense to me at
I
least.
definitely see that as being reasonable. I'm gonna be honest with you. And once again, guys, this is the part I hate. This is the part I hate. Because I give cogent, like reasonable football analysis, right? And it sounds like I'm either hating on a dude or trying to cape for him. So like, bro, just like literally filter that shit and just listen to exactly what I'm saying. Ritter will look so much better in this offense that like I think it might give them pause on bringing in real competition. Like and like I told y'all a couple weeks ago, please grab the lube, put on some soft music, prepare yourself, because Ritter might be the starter again, and it's coming up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, but in all truth and honesty, this type of offense highlights what he does so well. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I'm not even a super offensive guy. And to be honest with you, with the quarterback play that happened last year, I'm fine. Trust me, dear God, I'm fine with them going in a different direction. But I could totally understand an offensive coordinator coming in who has this type of system specifically that is dictated on turning back to defense, mid-level layer throws in the middle of the field, sets that allow you to make quick, easy throws to the running back, built on screens, athletic bootlegs. Like Ritter, if you close your eyes and you look at the tools, this is the offense he's built for. It is not only is it super quarterback friendly, it is like tailor made for a quarterback like him. And so like I definitely could understand Zach Robinson coming in and being like if we had got Bobby Slowick,
I could
based
see
on
something like
how
that.
we saw but based on how we saw CJ Stroud working that offense, his version of the offense, I could see him being like, I might need to go in a different direction. But if we compare him to Matt Stafford's level of mobility, Matt Stafford's now don't get me wrong, Matt Stafford got insane arm talent, but just the
Generational.
wide receiver separation, the ball placement, and how that offense flowed and matured, and then on top of that, McVay was calling the offense. We don't know what Zach Robinson's exact spin on this is going to be, right? But just the bones of the offense seem to fit Ritter amazingly.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this all comes together because, as we dig more into the offensive staff, like obviously we got Zach Robinson, but then we have two retainees on the offensive side. You have Dwayne Ledford, who's been promoted to running game coordinator, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have TJ8, who has been reassigned from receiver coach to quarterback coach. Now, why is that important? TJ8 played in the NFL as a quarterback. Why he was a receiver coach, I don't know. Also, TJ8's time as a quarterback coach was highlighted by some very successful play by Deshaun Watson in Houston. So you
TJ at first backed him up as
yeah,
a he was his backup. He backed
yeah,
up Matt Deshaun, then he backed up
yeah.
Deshaun,
Back
then
to
he
Mike
became
Shaw,
the
yeah.
quarterback coach.
Yeah. So in terms of, helping quarterbacks develop and all of that, he I think he knows what he's doing in that aspect. But obviously you have the coordinator who was a quarterback too. So I think we should see an improvement in quarterback play despite who is at quarterback. Whether even if it is a Ritter, you're going to have better coaching. Um, in the run game, I'm interested to see what Dwayne Lefford's run game is going to be like tailored on. Like, is it going to be what we seen last year, or is it going to be like a different spin on that? Because it could like
I think we
ideally
have
sit.
the perfect thunder and lightning combination
Yeah,
in terms of our backfield. Um, Hear me out, fantasy owners and Falcons fans. Bijan is primed for a dip in production next year.
I
But
don't
his
think
dip
so.
in production, hear me out. His dip in production may coincide with the team being much, much better. And the only reason I say that is because I think you're underrating how productive he was this year.
No, no, no. I get what you're saying, but when you look at the Rams' offense, who was the number three running back in fantasy production?
It was Kyron, right?
Yes. You think they're not going to use Bijan like that?
I think that we have two very, very capable and sound running backs
I mean, we do,
that
but
complement the game in different ways.
we do, but when you got some like the way that this offense is tailored, because like they throw a lot of screen passes. It's short passes, intermediate passes across the middle of the field, and screen passes. Bijan's going to eat in that type of scheme because one thing that the Rams did is they highlighted their playmakers. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, they got the ball. They don't care if you knew it was coming or not. They was getting the ball. So I expect this offense to feature a lot of Bijan getting the ball, a lot of Kyle Pitts getting the ball, and a lot of Drake London getting the ball. So I'm going to disagree with you on the production dip. I think we're going to see Bijan's production going to look like a lot more like what we expected it to look like coming out last year.
I think that his if I had to look at it, so he was at 976 last year in terms of rushing. I could see that going up 487 in terms of receiving.
I can see that going up too,
That's a,
or at
that's
least
a
staying the
big number,
same.
bro. That's a big number. That's a big number.
I think he can match that or go
We're
up a
looking
little
at
higher
Bro, we're
because
looking at almost 1,500 yards of production. I
we
see
are.
his touchdowns going up because he only had 8 touchdowns last year. But 1,500 all purpose yards, that's a lot of yards. I could, hear me out. I could see a 1,300 all purpose yard season with
That's
the
a
team being
downgrade. He just
drastically
had
better.
14. He just had 14. I don't see a decrease in any way.
But Taj, like here's the reason why. I see massive increases in production from Drake London and Kyle Pitts. There's only one ball.
I
I
get what you're
see
saying.
massive increases in
I
production for
get what you're
both of them.
saying. Look, the Rams still had 2,000-yard receivers, and Kyron still did his thing.
Which I understand. I understand. We have a wrinkle
And
of that offense,
and
right?
Bijan is a much more explosive player than Kyron, so he's going to be able to take some of Kyron's 20-yard plays and turn them into touchdowns.
Hey, look, I just how I look at it, I think he would I think he's gonna be around he's still gonna be around this 15. Because what is this? 976 plus 487, quick math. Looking at 1450, right
I
around.
think Bijan is probably going to be closer to about 1,200 rushing, and I think the receiving stays about the same. Maybe give or take 50 yards. He's going to stay around that same ballpark.
So you got him at a
Because the thing,
1700 all purpose yard
about 16.
next season.
Yeah, I mean he just had 14 and he wasn't even used right.
All right, so then
Six.
what kind of
Could the
production
thing
do you
could the
see
thing is
happening for
when
Drake
you're
London,
talking about
Kyle Pitts, and whatever receivers we bring in?
the thing is those are going to be number two receivers. Pitts and London are going to headline the receiving core. Even though Pitts is a tight end, they're going to treat. I'm pretty sure they're going to find creative ways to get him involved. Those are going to be your top 1-2 option. The other guys, they're going to be guys like Tutu Atwell. He had like 400 yards this year for the Rams. Like the number three option is not really going to do. It's going to be pecking order in terms of probably priority. Is probably going to be Bijan, Pitts, and then London, or it might be Bijan, London, Pitts. But Bijan is going to be the priority in the offense, especially if we have a younger quarterback. Because if
I
you
do
go
think
young
that
quarterback,
having a young quarterback is going to feed to run the ball. But that's where I feel like Algier fits into the offense as well, right?
the
This guy
thing
is
is
2 years removed from having 1,000-yard season.
yeah, but he's not going to get that 1,000 yard again because the moment he's at the Bijan, his 1,000 yard season died.
I think that, well, yeah, I agree with that part. But I do think there's a thunder and lightning combination. They're
I
going to
mean, it
take the load
is.
off of Bijan. I think now, I remember us coming into the season last year, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We weren't even doing video back then. So if you have managed to stay with us all the way through then, you are a trooper. You deserve a t-shirt. We ain't got no merch. But um we talked about some of the interesting combinations that could happen on the field, right? We consider Cordell still being part of the field, right? But we were like, hey, you could have a piece of the offense where you put Algier, Bijan, Cordell, Pitts, London on the field at the same time, right? Like that's we talked about that as being a skill position set, and I think at the end of the season when we were complaining about it and talking about what cost him his job, I think they only ran plays with all those guys on the field. Wasn't it less than 20 times over the course of the whole season? I think it averaged out to like maybe one a game or some dumb stuff like that, right? I would love the idea of the offense to have that much variance, but I think coming into it, especially as it builds upon itself, I do think what you're saying on them just kind of sticking to the highlights, sticking to the hits, and having those three guys on the field at all times is going to be a real factor. But I think as the offense matures and progresses, they're going to get Algier a bit more involved, not only to diversify the offense, but to take some of those touches off the Bijan. You don't want to run him into the ground.
I understand
He's
you don't want to
young.
run him to the
He's
ground,
talented. You don't want to run him
here's
into
the
the
thing.
ground.
I'm looking at now. Obviously, this is not going to be a 1-1 because Raheem's always going to have his own philosophies on how he wants the offense to be run. The concepts are going to be the same, but the usage is going to vary. So last year, I'm looking at the Rams' rushing stats. Kyron Williams, he played in 12 games. He had 228 carries, 1,100 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Then you have
That is crazy productive.
yeah, he was the number three producing running back in fantasy.
No, look at that average. Isn't that like that's damn near a 5-yard average,
Yeah,
ain't it?
5 yards
4
flat.
point something.
Yep, five
Yeah,
flat.
that's just crazy.
So and then he also gave you another 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in receiving. Now in terms of the next rusher, it was
But that's 1,300 yards.
yeah, but that's in 12 games. 1,300 yards in 12 games.
Yeah, that's crazy. That average is stupid.
So
Because Bijan had 400 and some carries.
there's 5 games of
Like,
production missing from that. So do the math. That's about 1,600, and that's probably being generous. So now you got the backup running back who was Roy Freeman. He played in more games, but he only had 77 carries and 319 yards, averaging about 4.1 yards a carry.
yeah, but Sean got pretty pass happy.
No, but the thing is, the pass game. I mean, they didn't even clear 4,000 yards passing. Stafford had
Look, how many?
He had 3,900 yards. He had 521 attempts.
That's a lot of attempts, bro.
It is a lot of attempts, but you also got to factor in the variance because Raheem's going to have his own philosophy. The only thing that's going to be similar is the concepts. The distribution is going to be a little different. Because when you look back to when
Yeah,
they was
that's
running,
like
when you look back to Tampa, they ran the ball here. Obviously, that was a different time, but when you got a player like
how many how
Bijan,
many how many games
how
did
many
Stafford play? 13?
he played 15.
He played 15? Bro, that's
Yeah.
like 35 attempts a game.
Let me see.
That's a lot of pass attempts, bro.
34. Well, yeah, 34 points. Basically 35 attempts a game. A lot, but
That's
a lot of that
you
you got to
gotta you gotta stop trying my math skills, bro. Like I be
no,
knowing this.
I don't know. You asked it, so I looked it up. But you also got to look at the fact is in the first half of the season they shifted. They ran about a lot more in the second half than they did the first half because
Mm-hmm.
the
I
first
say he got a bit pass happy.
yeah because the first few games Puka Nakua was putting up 140, 140, 100. Like Puka Nakua going crazy the first 4 or 5 games of the season. But then it kind of balanced out, and then they discovered the run game. So with them discovering that run game, and you got a player that is as talented as Bijan, players that talented get the ball. Because when you look at the history of top 10 pick running backs, Saquon, CMC, Fournette, they get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how good the backup might be, they get the ball. It would be irresponsible of them. Cause look, Bijan is the apple of their eye. They're gonna feature the offense through him. And Pitts, it like whether it's Pitts or London is the number 2 option. I don't know. It just depends on what they value. London is a high value player, is a high volume player, and I can see him excelling in that Cooper Cup type role. But I could also see a world where they kind of just move him all around and just let it play how it may. But
So
Bijan is going
uh,
to be a top fantasy back this year. There's no doubt in my mind. Seeing what Kyron Williams did in 12 games, and Bijan is more talented than him, Bijan's about to explode this year. He's going to be what people thought he should have been.
hey, I don't disagree. I think that he's going to be highly productive this year. I think he was stats wise, incredibly productive last year.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And I could see a world where he gets the same or slightly lower production, but the team is drastically better in other assets. I think Drake London is primed for his first 1,000 yard season.
I mean, he's only a
I
1,000
think
yard
you could.
season. I just don't see a dip in Bijan's production. I just don't see that.
No. I'm just saying, like in terms of other people on the team, I think
I mean, I get that,
Drake
but they've been
is
there. I just don't see
prime
that
for a
production.
1,000 yard season. I think Pitts. I think his production is going to. I don't see 1,000 yards. I think that
I
may
see
be a
1,000
bit
because
much.
if you use pitch correctly, that's an easy 1,000. He's big and
So
fast. Like, because also the thing
17
is,
games, 1,000 yards. What is that, like 60
it's
something
like
yards a
60.
game?
It's like 60, like maybe a little less, like 1,000 divided by 58 yards a game. So Pitt,
Yeah,
you
for a
can
tight end, that's doable. It's doable.
I see. I mean, we don't even know who the quarterback is, so a lot of this kind of depends on that. But
Which is true.
the way this looks schematically, I could see Drake London with a 1,200. I could see Drake for 12 or 13. I could see Pitts for about a buck, and I could see Bijan bringing up another. Bijan, I think Bijan's passing is going to about say the same, but I think his rushing is going to elevate because you also got to look. I think Robinson was there when they had Todd Gurley. They ran the offense through Todd.
They did run the offense through Todd. I'm not sure if he was there.
He been there for 6 years, so I'm pretty sure Todd didn't make on that long. He might have caught the end of him, but I'm pretty sure he was there because I think he was on the staff for the other Super Bowl too. When they lost to the Patriots, I think he was on that staff as well.
He got there in 2019.
Yeah, because Gurley came to us in 2020, 2021. I think he came to us in 21 because that was Quinn last year. He came for the last year. So he was with him for at least 2 seasons, or at least one. Yeah, he was with him for 19 and 20. So he was with him for 2 seasons.
Yeah, but I mean, he was declining during that time, so
He was. I mean, he still had production at 19. Out the 20 was whatever, but 19, I'm pretty sure he still had production.
still pretty productive. Yeah, Todd
So
Gurley used to be a monster, bro.
when you have a back of that type of caliber, you have to use him because McVay is a proponent. You use your best players. You get your best players the ball.
Yeah, he was with Gurley his last year, just that 2019 season where they had to cut him because it was just kind of
No, he was with
he
2020 because Gurley didn't get to us in 21. We would because they cut him and then we signed him right after he got
nah
cut.
he came to the Falcons in 2020.
Oh, I thought it was
In the
21.
2019 season, he had lingering knee issues. He failed to record a 100-yard game. He was just at he was that's the year he had all them red zone touchdowns. 2020 was Dan Quinn's last year. He came to us
I thought.
and yeah, nah.
Okay, yeah,
He
yeah,
just
yeah. 2020.
he caught the tail end of it. But I mean, hey, look, that's Minton stuff. The
But he was still around to understand how McVay values getting the ball to your best players.
Absolutely. Assistant wide receivers coach, assistant quarterbacks coach, passing game coordinator, and quarterbacks coach. Like the dude's been on the offensive side of the ball. He's worked with Stafford. He's worked with
Mayfield.
their wide receivers are crazy.
He was also a huge part because, like, Mayfield got there last year. He got there
Hmm
2 days and started and won a game. Robinson was a huge part of getting him ready for that. He was tasked with getting him ready for that game. So I'm optimistic on what this man can do. Yeah. So 19.
Now
Yeah. 19. He had
we've got some
57. Yeah. Okay.
we got some holdovers, right? We got a special teams coordinator. He's still staying.
Yeah.
Matt Pease, Dean's son, he's still on the defensive side of the ball for
Oh,
now,
they
for
kept him.
this exact particular moment. Yeah, for
They didn't.
for this exact moment, he's there.
They announced him as a
He's
holder.
still
They only
showing up.
announced. Well, I'm just talking about who they. I'm going off who they actually announced. I'm not going off who's under contract still. I'm going off who they're actually announcing.
Yeah,
Because
because so they still hold him as
was the special team guy, the quarterback coach, new quarterback coach in Ledford.
now. What I will say is now that we are starting to, build out this coaching staff, now I feel really comfortable about, hey, let's get into what the salary cap situation looks like. You guys, that's definitely going to be in the coming weeks. And we can start building out what our draft looks like based on historical data. I think
Hold on,
that
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. We not gonna just not get a DC no love now. We just not just gonna gloss over Jimmy Lake now. We not gave
it was
Zach
just
Robinson his
announced
flowers.
today. It was just announced
And
today.
we record
I
today.
forgot. I forgot. I'm not gonna lie to you. I forgot. But tell us about our DC, bro.
So, Jimmy Lake, he was a former head coach at Washington before their recent rise to prominence. But he is a defensive back specialist. Um, he's been in the league. Started with Tampa, had some time with Detroit, then came back to Tampa, and that's where him and Raheem crossed paths. Then he spent after that time in Tampa, he went back to Washington, and then went to Washington and put on some very good development for DBs. Like you got Byron Murphy with the Vikings now. You got Kyle Gordon with the Rams. Like he's put out not just day 3 picks, but he's put out first and second round picks at the position. So his development of those players is prominent. He's also had a task developing Buda Baker when he was in Washington. So defensive back is the specialty. I expect there to be a large emphasis on the defensive backfield with him as our DC. But with him as our DC, The run game coordinator is going to be a huge hire, and I'm really curious to see who that's going to be. They're still filling up the staff. Raheem's press conference isn't until February 5th, which is a petty ass date, but it is what it is. If you don't know why it's 28-3, that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we get the press conference next Monday. So we're still going to be getting little droplings of the staff as we got more holdovers and turnover. But typically, when you go through staff changes, maybe on average about 4 get kept. So right now we're at 3, I think. So there may be more, there may not be. Just got to stay tuned to see. But Lake, he was the assistant head coach for the Rams. And that's notable because Sean McVay isn't giving just anyone that title.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see. I wasn't very familiar with him until today, until I heard his name pop up when we hired him. So I had to do my due diligence and see exactly who he was. I don't really have a negative nor positive reaction to it because I don't know what to expect from this defense. I'm pretty sure it's going to be
I will say,
a collaborative effort between him and Raheem or whoever they choose to bring in for the run game coordinator. We don't know if it's going to be 3-4 or 4-3. It could be a hybrid front. Coverage wise, I expected it to be more of the same what we ran last year. A lot of split safeties, quarters, man. Just more. I don't expect that to change too much.
when you say this man is a DB extraordinaire, right now he has a hand because his last season at Washington, he was the D coordinator at Washington in 2018, 2019. Then he was the head coach in 20 and 21. He was there in Washington since 14, 15. He currently has 7 DBs in the league. He has 12 defensive players. And if you count the people that are no longer in the league, he's put 18 defensive players in the league and 9 DBs. That's crazy work, bro. That is crazy work. He's identifying the talent, he's coaching it up, and he's moving them on to the next level. So, that spells amazingly for our 2 perennial, Pro Bowl, All Pro players in AJ and Jesse, right?
AJ,
now,
I ain't gonna lie. AJ ended the season on the sour note. I need him to come out swinging next year.
Yeah, how does this makes me really excited for Clark Phillips. Makes me really excited for Helms. You know what I'm saying? Or if they don't overdraft those positions, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Now with Clark, being that they didn't draft him, I mean Terry did, but Raheem and Lake had nothing to do with his acquisition. So it's going to be interesting to see where they decide he gets used. I mean, he's small, right?
And but he's a boundary corner. I think he might get ate up a little in the slot.
No, I'm not even talking about slot. Now, I think he has the skill set for it. And given how today there is no true strong or free safety, I could see a world where he gets bumped up to safety. Used kind of
he'd be a fast ass safety. Yeah, he'd be a fast safety, bro. Does he have the hitting power?
He's a form tackler. I mean, he will miss tackles, but he's shown a willingness to tackle.
He has.
Now he may not start there, but I depending on how they view corners, if they have any certain measurements or athletic abilities. I mean, but the Rams also had a small corner in what's his name Hodges Tomlinson, LT's cousin. He's 5'8". He was from TCU. He's a 5'8" corner. He's a lot more athletic, but he's an undersized corner, and they used him. So, I mean, there still is hope for him at corner, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had a discussion about moving him to safety, just because there is no true these days. There is no true strong or free. It's just safety. So
and we were getting ate up at safety last year. It was they were they weren't throwing at Jesse, and so we were getting picked on. And I think that's always makes it rough is when you have a great player at one position. It makes it easy to highlight somebody else, but like,
You know, I'm not so sure that we were getting picked on the way that people think. I think they were a over aggressive defense. Yeah, because like when you look at the stat sheet, it says we have 42 sacks, but over half of those probably cover sacks. So the defensive backs probably had to compensate by being over aggressive and jumping things. And if you jump things prematurely and the pass rushers don't get there, that leaves things wide open. Because there's been
and we
plenty of
did talk
times.
about busted coverages
Yeah,
a bunch of times this year.
yeah, because there's been plenty of times where like when we played the Texans, Jesse got caught cheating, and they scored a touchdown on it.
Hmm.
So yeah, so like we didn't. I don't. I think it was probably just like a discipline, but I do think we the pass rush needs to be a huge um, emphasis. I do expect in Johnson production from like players like a Zach Harrison, but all of this really just depends on who the D line coach and run game coordinator is. I expect
And what
I
like you talked about what front we're gonna run, right? I think Zach Harrison will go a monster in a 3-4. To be honest with you,
I think he
um,
could play either or though, because
he could play either or.
because like even though he is he's extremely athletic. Like
He
he's
is.
6'6", 270, but like the man ran at one point in his life, the man ran a 4.47. Like he was a track star in high school. Like the man's athletic. He's got unnatural grit for a man of that size. So his athletic gifts allow him to be used in a multitude of defenses. Now,
Yeah, that. But I think in a 3-4, like he reminds me because of like that athleticism, that get off that body type. Like he reminded me of like I actually saw him this weekend when he was coming out of the tunnel for Baltimore. T Suggs, and I was like,
he's way
yo,
more athletic
that
than Suggs. Suggs was not athletic.
he's more athletic. He's more athletic, but
You
coming
know,
off that
Suggs ran a
edge with that body
4.9.
type, he played way faster than that.
He had probably had
You
a first
play
step, but he
speed,
ran a
bro.
4.9. And Suggs wasn't as
Play
big.
speed, bro.
Suggs wasn't as big as he was.
Play speed, bro.
That's fine, but Suggs wasn't as big as he was though. Suggs was 6'4", 260. This dude is 6'6", 270. It's quite a bit different. And his
It's
arms,
2 inches.
but his arms, this dude has like an 80-inch wingspan.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Like he had the longest arms in the draft. So like
But I could see him coming off that edge in a 3-4. It would be amazing to see.
so you talking about shifting an outside linebacker.
Yes, yeah. I don't want his hand in the dirt. In a 3-4. Now in a 4-3, I wide nines, yeah, use that speed to your advantage. But in 3-4, I would love to see him
No,
stand up.
it's a couple ways I can see him because I can see him as an outside, but I can also see him as a 4-eye right between in the tackle guard gap or head up on the tackle.
I can see that too. But like this is all anticipating that Grady comes back. You know, Godspeed, good health to you. That he comes back. You know,
The
good from
media
injury.
team posting them clips. He out here squatting and lifting weights again. So it looked like he might
Yeah,
be
you know
on
what I'm
his way
saying.
back.
Love to see you back. So like you a gapping it. I could see bodies that I just put to eat up. Like I would want to go bigger, right? I would want to go bigger along the line. But Zach, I want to use that speed. I want to use that speed, that athleticism. My man, stay with me. I want to use the speed and athleticism on the edge, right? And that's not to say that you can't pressure the pocket from the middle, but I feel like if you want to become, I feel like the sack numbers, the sexy numbers, are going to come from him standing up on the edge, especially with his speed and athleticism.
It should, yeah. Ultimately, I would like to. It's really just going to depend on who they decide for
Yeah,
that D line and linebackers coach. And
because he holds 270 well. He holds
yeah,
270 well. You know
because
what I'm
he's
saying?
a lean
Like if you look
270.
at, yeah, you look at somebody like Chris Jones, isn't he only like what
He's
310?
310, 39, 309, like yeah,
Yeah,
basically 310.
yeah, yeah. But like if you look at him, like bruh, he holds it
Yeah.
very, very well. You know what I'm saying? He looks like a mountain of a dude. And then if you look at somebody like Haloti Nada, you know what I'm saying? He's like 350, 360, but he look every bit of that shit. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like,
people like him, Jordan Davis, Vita Vea, they look like they heavy.
yeah. So like, he's 270, but he holds it well. And if you're able to mix up that athleticism with taking on, right, left tackle, I would love to get a bookend. You know what I'm saying? So like, if we go 3-4, what kind of stand up linebacker are we looking for on the other side? Are we prioritizing that day one, or is that more of a day two, day three developmental type thing?
It
Like,
also could be free agency too.
I think with
There
free
could be
agent.
names
Now,
out
here's
there.
the thing.
One
You
name
straight
that is
sidestepped the question I asked earlier on the offense. What mid-level free agents do you think we probably get,
for
especially on the
receivers.
receiver end?
Um, I don't really know the free agency class for receivers.
Yeah, which we can get to. We can get to a little later. We can get to a
Yeah,
little later,
because
right?
I was more familiar with
Because
the defense. Because there was one name I was looking at that is going to be available. The Texans could retain him because the Texans got money, but Jonathan Grenard is a very interesting player.
he's up.
Yeah,
Oh wow!
Jonathan
I don't know
Grenard.
how y'all let him hit free agency.
Now they may not let him go, but
Yeah, I was about to say I don't know how y'all let him hit free agency.
I think he was their most productive pass rusher this year.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a name
The
that's
past 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. So he's a name that people probably aren't talking about enough because people talk about the Danielle Hunters, they talk about the Josh Allens, they talk about all of these other guys, and
Those aren't the people. Those aren't the people who consistently change your They are. Don't. I'm not stupid. Those people do change your defense.
Danielle did the motherfucking thing
Yeah.
this year. But
Yeah, those people do change your defense, but like in the grand scheme of it, you draft that player, right?
yeah,
The guy on the
if you
other
can,
side that eats up blocks and allows you to rotate defensive linemen, you get him in free agency 9 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Because those people round out your roster. You remember we were talking about Houston on the betting pod. I talked about the fact that they literally turned over half of their roster with free agency. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? Like that's part of being a good GM. That's part of running a team. You're not gonna hit on every draft pick, and this isn't the late '90s, early 2000s. You're not gonna build your whole team through the draft. You got to be a participator in free agency. 30% of free agents hit, and what's defined as a hit? Oh, Pro Bowl berth or something. No, bro. If you're able to sign a player who's
yeah.
averaged 5 sacks every year and he comes on your team and gives you 4 sacks, that's a hit. That
A
is a
hit to
hit.
me is anyone that if you can get into a second contract, that's a hit to me. Or even if they give you at least average production, that's a hit. As long as you get more than nothing, it's a hit to me. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
draft slot weighs that a little bit more. Like, obviously, if you're drafted in the first round, you're looked at to have Pro Bowl, All Pro production. That's just the reality of it. Day two, you're looked at probably for having the upside to get there, but they probably just want starting level production. And then anything after that, like third and they want at least average.
Yeah. So like if you take that same mindset to free agency, if your team at first off, if you're good, no team is letting you hit your second contract without already being franchise tagged once or twice. Let's get that out the way. No great player hits free agency at the end of their rookie deal. So you're getting someone who's 6 or 7 years into the league, first and foremost. You want to have an average of their last 3 years of production, and then you base a contract based off that. So, like, if you're getting a running back in free agency who for the past 3 years went 1,300 yards, 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards, you're expecting that guy to come to you and do 12, right? 1,250, somewhere around that. If you get him and he goes for 11.5, like 11.50, like, bro, you had a good season out of him, bro. Like, age decline, and then it's based on what you're gonna pay for him. So, like, Grenard, if you look at him, I think he had what, 8.5, 9 this year, something like that.
We're gonna pull this up live, folks. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live, folks. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live. 8.5, 9 this year, something like that. Pull this up live.
Y'all hear all this dead time. I'm trying to just talk. Uh, yeah, so he had 12 and a half, right?
Did he?
Yeah, he had 12 and a half. That's what I'm saying. It'd be very interesting to see them allow him to get all the way to free agency. It was 2021 that he led the team. He only played 8 games last year, but he went 12 and a half, 1.5, 8. So what is that? 13, 14. That's 22 divided by 3. If you sign him and he gives you 7.5 sacks, bro, that's a win. And like you'll see the 12 and a half and go down to 7.5, and you're like, oh my God. But you got to get an average of his production for the past 3 years, bro. You look at his production for the past 3 years, you average that out, and then you put that on your team. And then you pay him accordingly.
No.
If you pay
So yeah.
him like he's going to give you 12,
So his most recent
that's
year
what I'm
he had
saying.
12 and a half. Then okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you
Oh,
pay
okay.
him like he's going to give
Yeah.
you 12 and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, you're going to be mad. But if you pay him like he's going to give you 7.5, you're going to be very happy with your results.
I think
Put
probably
some
because like what
put some
he had
incentives in his
one
contract.
because like he had one his first year, he had 8 his second year, then he had 1.5 his third year, then he exploded to 12 and a half with a scheme change that probably benefited. But when you look at the snap percentage, right? 2020, his snap percentage was 32.
Yeah, he barely played.
No, on no defense, it was 23.9, and he only gave you a sack. He bumped up to 36% and gave you 8. He went back down to 24 and gave you what 1.5. This year he played 55% of the defensive snaps and he gave you 12 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed like the more you play him, his hit rate looks like it's crazy. It seems like if he on the field, he bound to get a sack at some point.
Yeah, I don't see Houston letting him go. I think that's a wish list person. Um,
Yeah.
but Houston also did draft a pass rusher, like you said. There was a scheme change. DeMarco is crazy with the defensive lines, as you saw from San Francisco. And like it's hard to say it's a drop off because they're in the Super Bowl. But like if you look at San Fran's defense compared to when D'Amico was there, I called him DeMarco, my fault. Compared to when D'Amico was there, the literally the line has fallen off. That's just a true factual statement. You can look at any stat that you want to. They are not generating the same amount of QB pressures or sacks. D'Amico's a monster, bro. So like that scheme change is super beneficial. And like you said, like I don't think they're gonna let him go. But if they do, that's an amazing wish list person right there.
So based off with the contract projection, it's looking at they got a PFF has him projected at 3 years, 47 million.
That sound about right. That sound about right.
And I'd be happy with that because I don't feel like it's overpay. I
I
feel
think
like
you said 3 for 47. I think you
it's
signed
about.
I think you signed 4 for 52 so that you can amortize the money and kind of make that last year a false year.
But why would they only take 5 more for an extra year?
So at 3 for 47, right? If you just divide it evenly, that's like
It's about
one,
15
three,
and
one.
something, 15 to change.
Yeah, it's almost 16, right? So like nine times out
Yeah,
of ten,
15.6. Yeah.
yeah, 9 times out of 10, like you would want his first cap hit year to be like 18, right? Then second cap hit year to be maybe 14. So you're already at 32, or nah, you would still probably want it at like maybe 16. So you're already at like 34. You know what I'm saying? So if he sucks, you can just let him go that third year, right?
I mean, yeah,
If
but
you
like
add the extra if you add the extra 5 million on,
I
you
get
can
what you're
make that
saying,
cap
but
hit in that first year. You would still have it like around 18 to 19. It gives you an out after 2 years.
I mean, but the thing is,
Sign that 4 year deal gives you an out after 2 years.
but you could still construct it in a way because just adding that fifth year takes the annual from almost 16 down to 13.
I said 4 years, not 5.
Yeah, no, you said 4, but it takes it from
Yeah,
down from
four
16
four
to
fifty two.
almost. Yeah, but the fourth year will take it from almost 16 down to 13. So it's
Yeah.
like If I'm your agent,
He's not. He's not. You're not really concerned with AAV in that percent in that
but
particular moment. You're not really
he
concerned with
might,
AAV because you're getting your money up front. You're getting your
but
money up front.
you get the money up front, but that last year just doesn't seem attractive because the thing is, if he does play to what he's shown that he can, by the time he gets to that last year, you're like, hey, I need some more money.
Yeah, you rip it up. But on the team's end, if you build up to that, then yeah, you're happy ripping up the contract. You got to protect it. I'm thinking from the business point of view, not the player point of view, bro.
Yeah,
I'm thinking from literally the team point of view.
I'm coming from the player point of view. I'm not taking an extra year for only $5 more million.
Yeah, nah. I might if you really like hangering it at the table, I might get to 7 on you. But like I'm gonna protect myself to have it out at 2 years because like
No, but
what I'm not finna do.
The thing with
What I'm not finna do is put myself in a position to where I gotta keep you on a 3rd year.
Okay.
Where when I signed you, you went 12 and a half. You've given me 6 and a half. Then you gave me 5 and missed 12 games, and now I gotta pay you for a 3rd year.
I get what you're saying, right? But 3 years, $47 million. We don't know what the guaranteed is. You can put the guarantee based off stuff like that to cover you. But the max value of the contract is 3 years, 47.25. So the max value, like you could probably do that and do like a max value, like 30 million guaranteed. That way, for at least 2 years, he get 15 a season, and then the 3rd year, you could decide what you want to do.
But I'm not gonna take that type of. I'll take a dead cap hit of that type of number, but I'm not gonna have you have a 15 cap hit. That's really high, bro.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying it probably won't be a 15 cap hit, but I'm saying he's going to get 15 over the course. He's going to get 30 over the course of the first 2 years. However you divvy it up, that's whatever. Because like even with Jalen Hurts' contract, he got 100 and something, 100, like almost 200 guaranteed.
Yeah, they converted it to like signing bonus and all that.
Yeah, they converted the signing bonus, and his cap is only like $5 million for like the next 4 years.
But then they are about to get rammed, bro, because like you always got to pay the piper. And the one thing Terry has been amazing with is his cap management and his like cap analysis. If we were having a conversation with him, which Terry, if you ever hear this, we would love to get you on the show. Shoot for the stars. But like I promise you he'd be more on my side than yours on this one. He is a cap wizard in their analysis of the cap. Yeah. Their analysis of the cap has been very on par with making sure that they have outs based on even Jesse Bates' contract has an out.
No, but
and he's all.
But the way this contract is still constructed, you could still have an out with a 3-year deal. I'm saying because the language is in the guaranteed money, not the total contract. It's the guaranteed money. They just gave you
I completely understand that.
They
but the total contract value is what you amortize on your cap.
Yeah,
the total contract value is what you amortize on your cap.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but like, the guarantee could be 30. You could.
That's hard cash that you're handing out.
Exactly.
That's hard cash that you're handing out.
I get what you're saying, but like, if you want to
total value is what you amortize.
I get what you're saying. But
so that's why that number is important.
A lot of these players don't even get the total value of the contract. That's why they focus more on the guaranteed number because that's the money they're most likely to, that's the money they're going to get. The amortized value is what they probably won't even get that. They definitely won't.
I'm saying for the salary cap purposes. If I say that the total value of your contract can be $47 million, I have to account on the cap for a $47 million contract. Whether you fully get it or not, the total value of that contract is what I have to amortize. That's why I'm saying by having it structured out for that many years, even though you raise the total value of the contract, you're able to manipulate the cap in a more susceptible way. Because like it doesn't the guaranteed money, that's for the player's benefit. The total contract value and how it's divvied out for AAV is for the team's guarantee. So that's why I would be more comfortable adding an extra year because if I'm able to amortize that out and I take a dead cap hit, I'm going to take that hit at a lower number than I would if I had a 3-year deal with, even though it's a slightly lower number, because that that number guarantee is going to match closer to what my cap hit is going to be.
I get what you're saying, but the player's not going to agree to that in most cases. To where the last year the cap hit is so much lower. I'm coming from
it's more money than it's more money than he's ever seen, bro. Put it on tape, see what happens.
If you go from like, okay, for 3 years I can get this, and you say, but how about we got at a fourth year? You're like, well, why does the money not feel like I feel like I'm getting more for 3, and I can just come back to the table after 2 years, as opposed to coming back to the table for 3. I feel like I've earned more money in 2 years than the 3.
You can, but do it.
From a player standpoint, you're not coming to me. If someone come to me for 3 at 47, and you come to me at 4 for 52, I'm going for the 3.
But you gotta think you gonna go 3 for 47 or 4 for 52, right? In the 3 for 47, you saying 30 mil guaranteed, but the 4 for 52, I might can get you up to 39. Nah,
I don't think so.
Man, look, man.
because that's only,
gotta play
that's
long.
only because look, that's only 9. Because that's only $9 more million for a whole other season. So
yeah, but here's the thing. In your analogy, right? You got cut after. Let's just say he plays bad. You get cut after the second year. You've made $30 million, right?
Yeah.
In this situation,
seasons, it averages up to 15 a year.
Yeah, it's gonna be 13 for 3, and you probably, if they cut you, be able to sign with another team.
Yeah.
It's more security. It's more security.
I'm taking the 3.
Hey, look, man. You're a tough player to negotiate with. Look, I want you on my jury, but I don't want you on my negotiating table. So, hey, y'all. So that's a quick preview of what all the free agency talk is going to be like with us. So I appreciate you guys. Hey, like, subscribe. Thank you for all that you do. Hit the DMs for City Talk topics so we can, that could be the last part of the show. We really appreciate y'all. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Share it with your friends, anybody that you know that would like it. And we all about fan engagement, man. So like, comment, all on the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. This has been your boy Q City.
Your boy Taj Bravado.
And we out.
Peace.